Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wanted for August 10th, even though it's the 11th. Season 1, Episode 24. Today we're going to be talking about VPNs, 3D printed homes, SSDs, dial-a-volt via Anchor, twinkly squares, Hasbro, Star Wars, Marvel, Transformers, bingo, gaming projectors, the Virtuix Omni VR treadmill, dice rolling board games, and Bluetooth multipoint. What is it? Why you want it? I am Mayor Watt, and that is the Sentient AI from the future.
Hello, ohmTown citizens. Welcome to Wanted.
Everything's powered by ohmTown.com, so go over and become a citizen. And if you're listening to this over on YouTube or Twitch, be sure to follow us, like, and subscribe, all of that kind of stuff. Be sure to like, because that's what actually moves us around in the algorithm. It's very important to us over on YouTube. Twitch is a discovery thing. I don't know how people are found there, but the likes are absolute, and comments. Subscription helps, but likes actually move it substantially. So please follow us, like, subscribe, ring the bell. You'll get informed when we go live. All right, folks. So Wanted is a show about gadgets and gear and basically what Mayor Watt wants. What the mayor wants. Sure. And I discuss this with the Sentient AI from the future, and then we post it. So it's basically kind of a reaction kind of video. My mic is like right in front of me. I don't normally like it there, but that's okay. We'll do it this way. So I hope you enjoy the show. Wanted is actually a channel where news is aggregated over at ohmTown.com. ohmTown.com is a website where news is aggregated into 6 main categories and then 50 channels, each of which I want to turn into a podcast. And I think this actually shows Wanted for 8:10 in the title, which is accurate, even though we are talking about it on the 11th. Because what we're going to end up doing is shifting the shows around a little bit. I had wanted to do them all on one day, but it's kind of an untenable position. So we're going to move them back to Saturday and Sunday shows along with
the weekly shows.
Yeah, the weekly shows. Non Sequitur News is a daily show. And so we're going to do Wanted and then the Continuity Report, which is about basically entertainment news. And then we're going to reset again and do Non Sequitur News for Sunday. And then 3 more weekly shows, kind of get back into our old groove. I thought it would work out really well, considering I was going to be gone doing mayoral duties for a week. And it worked well for that purpose, but overall, yeah, it's kind of a struggle. So anyway, let's get into it. The very first article that we're going to talk about should really be brief. It's in the Wanted channel. I use VPNs from time to time for when I'm not acting as mayor, although being mayor is 24/7, 365. A VPN is pretty important when you're doing certain things or when you don't want maybe an ISP or somebody else to know exactly what you're up to. It's not necessarily nefarious, but if you don't want to be tracked and you want a new algorithm to be leveraged upon you, you basically get a unique IP address from some other location. When you pop out, it's a secure connection called a virtual private network. And although you can be tracked from the point of your exit and from the point of your entrance, everything in between is largely unknown. It's encrypted, but you have to rely on your VPN provider, and there's countless out there. I don't get a kickback from anybody that's being mentioned in this, but CNET put an article together. Mo Long and Attila Tomaszek are the authors of this article. They say these VPNs work well for multiple devices with generous or even unlimited simultaneous device allowances, plus apps for nearly all of your electronics. And once you set up your device, you basically just turn on or off the VPN and you are connected. They talk about Surfshack being the best cheap VPN, NordVPN being the best VPN for speed. What's
That
up?
would be Surfshark.
What did I? Surfshack. I said it, right? Surfshark. Sorry. Surfshack.
That's the knockout, like in and out.
Why do I know? Huh. Oh, interesting. I just got told by Restream that I need to change a setting. That can't happen right now. So,
It'd be a little difficult.
yeah. All right. Well, anyway, best overall VPN is ExpressVPN. They say privacy, protection, and transparency. That's always important. They have various things. They are going to get a CNET if you follow the links. If you follow the link through ohmTown, and to get that link, you can just hit ! And oh no, this one is wanted. So just type in want, ! Want, and ohmTown will spit out all of the links to the articles that are in ohmTown that are aggregated from our various sources. All of our sources, Megawatt vets, and to verify the information is sound and it isn't some type of a skeevy whatever.
And there's sometimes some venting too.
Yeah, that's my soapboxing. I typically do that in non sequitur news. So if you like somebody going off the tracks a little bit, watch that show. But I do it here too. It depends. So, and then I've never even heard of, actually, no, that's not true. I've never heard of it referred to as PIA. I've always heard of it referred to as private internet access, but it's a budget friendly and it says it's transparent too. But transparency, you don't know from transparency. So, hey, they didn't give me a lot of information. They gave me information and they said that it was a lot of information. You know, what's really the difference? Experience, I suppose.
Right. The only way you can really know if they're transparent is if you're kind of behind the scenes and know all the information and then
That's
happen
right.
to be the consumer too.
Yeah, pretty much. Or you come from the industry and you're like, this is what I expect because I have experience there. So Proton is pretty much synonymous with privacy. That's what they promote. And so they say that this is the only free plan that they recommend. So supposedly they don't keep any records, if I recall correctly. But it's a piece of cake, really, to set these things up nowadays. They've removed all of the complexity from it. It used to be really kludgy to get this kind of stuff going, but now it's a piece of cake. But they say that Surfshark is the best VPN for several devices because of its unlimited simultaneous connections, vast app availability, and feature-rich design that doesn't break the bank. Usually there's deals floating around, and I won't go through all of this. You can go and check it out yourself, but NordVPN is well known, Surfshark is well known, Proton is well known. All of these, I mean, if you look at this, it's pretty much...
Yeah, they all are kind of featuring everything that they're looking at. I mean, to me, multi-device is already a win because
Right.
what households don't have multiple devices?
Yep. And just so you know, your ISP knows everything about you, particularly if you use their DNS service. I don't. So I compartmentalize my DNS so that nobody knows where I'm surfing unless they do deep packet inspection, which is certainly possible, but not if you're on a VPN. But once you pop out on the other side of the VPN and the VPN itself, depending on the configuration of the VPN, even the VPN provider knows. But your ISP, you do a search and your ISP knows. You surf to some weird website and your ISP knows.
It'll be like the Target instance, right? Like they'll almost know stuff before you know it.
Sure. Yep. In fact, I tell this anecdotal story about somebody who was considerably younger than cognizant of their actions. They don't even know what they're doing. Supposedly, they purchased a movie from the Hurt Locker, and they described that the person had to go through these steps to do it. And when I said, the person you're referring to is 3, they said, well, they must have purchased it. And I'm like, you're out of your freaking mind. And yeah, they knew what movies that I supposedly watched and what channels that I've been on and stuff like that. And it was pretty creepy. Anyway, so there's platform compatibility. Many of them are all of this: Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, Linux. It says Linux users have been finding issues finding a VPN that offers useful native apps for Linux. Even if the VPN has a native GUI for Linux, graphic user interface for Linux, it may not offer the full functionality that its Mac OS and Windows counterparts have. That's usually because Linux comes across as very clinical. There's a new version of a Linux distro. Oh, I totally forgot it. I wanted to look into it. Thanks, thanks CNET for triggering a memory. I'm going to have to go back and find this new Linux distribution. It's supposed to be really user-friendly and feature-rich. But I'll have to go back and look. It just came out, or at least it just fell on my radar. And then they talk about privacy. It says privacy is one of the most important considerations for any VPN, regardless of what you need it for. Frankly, I don't care what people need it for. I embrace privacy, and I want AES 256-bit encryption. It says a kill switch, DNS leak protection. DNS leaking is where you reveal certain information about where you're traveling. And they say that they have a no logs policy, or some say that they have a no logs policy. So you'll have to look at the privacy policy. If you're not familiar with legalese, you can interpret it incorrectly, which is why I wanted to start up a channel called Policy Metrics, which evaluates policy on various data points and then scores it. But that takes working with various bodies to interpret the policies properly, and a little bit heavier lifting than I'm prepared for right now. So again, if you want to hear about that kind of stuff, like and subscribe and let us know. And it's not Linux Mint. I don't think it's Pop OS either. I'll have to look.
Yeah, those were some of the most recent. So
yeah, Linux has been around or Mint has been around for a little while, but Pop OS I think is the newer of those two. Anyway, go and check out this article about VPNs. I don't think it won't steer you wrong, but it'll definitely steer you into one of their evaluated VPN providers. Okay. I took a long time to talk about that, but it was important. So this is over on the Wanted channel as well. A robotics company has 3D printed nearly 100 homes in Texas. And that's what I want. I want a 3D printed home. I thought that it was going to be Icon, but it says here that it's Icon and a 3D printer called Vulcan. So let's go straight on over to the provider. Danny Gallagher put the article together for Engadget. What do you think of 3D printed homes?
I think they're much needed. They need wider adoption. They seem like they're a lot more indestructible.
Yeah.
Or strong. It seems like if they were used widely, the price would, I don't know how the price compares with regular, but that would bring the price down.
Yeah, so the article is sourced from Reuters, but published, like it's rejiggered and printed over at Engadget. I'm sure that they did some of their own due diligence. And then we aggregate a little snippet, and that leads me to go over. That's how I manage my information overload. That's why ohmTown exists. But Reuters reports that the homes, which are part of a community called Wolf Ranch, are being built with a large 3D printer called Vulcan that's 45 feet wide and weighs more than 4.75 tons. It's your conventional 3D printer. Basically a couple of poles on track with a cross member that has a print head, and it deposits cement layer after layer. You can actually see the layer lines. The different coloration comes from moisture differences and possibly different mills. As more materials get put in the hopper, sometimes it can change the color because the materials are slightly different. But they say that the homeowners have already started moving into some of the completed 3D homes that are in a range of prices from $450,000 to $600,000. More than a quarter of the homes have been sold. I don't want to move to Georgetown, Texas, but I would love to move into one of these. They seem to all be single story homes, which I'm also not really that into at my age. But as you get older, you want to move to a flat single level house because it's just burdensome to go upstairs when you're 70.
Safer too.
And safer.
Not to go upstairs. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what I would love to do is when I get to the point where I want to live in a ranch style home, I want to be on a bigger hill. I don't know why. I like the idea of being above it all kind of thing. So once printed, the walls look like giant stretches of corduroy, but they are designed to be resilient and sustainable even in extreme weather. They're water resistant and energy efficient. Cement is not impervious to water. It actually can percolate through. It takes considerable amount of time unless it's improperly constructed. And the first place that I lived on my own, when it rained outside, the walls would sweat water, and it was painted cinder block. And so it would still seep through. It was creepy. And this is the kind of place that horror stories were written about. Anyway,
like if you saw it in the movie, you knew something bad was going to happen.
Correct. Yeah. But this stuff, you basically waterproof it. You can paint it. You can actually use a diamond bit chainsaw and cut through the cement and then put a new window or a door in place. As long as you put the superstructure in place to support whatever is above it, it won't collapse on you. You can't do that with brick and mortar. It's much more difficult. You can't do that with twigs, the conventional building materials. It's much more difficult. You chop out the wrong post in a conventional home and the whole damn thing will sag until it collapses in on itself. And then a strong gust, the big bad wolf blow on it and the roof falls off and the walls fall over. But not with this. It's a contiguous piece. This is one contiguous line. And it's a spiral. It just goes around and around and around and around, builds up. And then when it's done, they put a little roof on it and you're done. And this can actually be smoothed out. You can get stucco and turn it into a conventional outside home. But that's what I want. The walls can be extra thick.
Yeah, it seems like very little downside. And we had kind of a funny article in Non Sequitur News about, I think it was in Non Sequitur News, about the fear of dust. And it was basically like drywall over it or...
Yeah. Oh, people were worried about... Yeah, that's right. The Non Sequitur News one was people were upset because all of these lines, they're going to collect dust. And like everybody in the room was going, so dust. Where do you think all of the dust settles in your house? On surfaces. If you don't dust those surfaces, yeah, it's going to collect dust. But I like the way that this is built. But I like industrial. I like, future looking, that kind of thing. But what I really like about this is that it's heavy, it's silent, it's resistant to temperature variations. You have to have air circulating though, because it won't breathe on its own like a regular conventional house. Actually swells and contracts with the heat, and it's not completely hermetically sealed. So air flows through a house even when you don't have air conditioning or something like that. And what was that last thing that you just sent me?
That was related. It doesn't matter. It's not
the
for
Linux?
this.
Was
article.
It for the Linux thing?
Yes.
Oh, what is that? I've never even heard of that one. All right.
It's so new. It's.
I don't know who they are, but anyway.
It
let's
was
keep
just
moving.
another Linux distribution.
Gotcha. So you want to keep moving?
Sure.
So the next SSDs may be over 80% faster, which I think is amazing. Micron just unveiled its next gen PCIe 6.0 SSD, which will reportedly reach speeds of over 26 gigabytes per second, and that's a massive increase over PCI 5, but there's a catch. I don't know what the catch is because I haven't actually read into this. They say it's quite a feat considering the fastest SSD out there right now maxes out at 14.5 gigabytes. Monica J. White over at digitaltrends.com put this article together. The ever-pressing demand of AI and various high-performance computing workloads make it so that these big developments are bound to end up in enterprise situations at first. I think that catch is that it's going to be massively expensive, but where does it say what the actual catch is? I don't know.
That's a good question.
Oh, it's being made for data centers. So you'll be able to benefit from it if you're using some cloud service. If they actually
Right,
move
but
over
this
to
could be the start because it could move over to prosumer or consumer.
Yeah, and that's definitely how it works. So thinking back to PCI Gen 3 certainly puts that 26 gigabytes number into perspective because PCI 3.0 was max at 3.5 gigabytes. So I love the idea of all of this moving forward. Micron also touts up to 30% performance improvement in games between GDDR6 and GDDR7. That's another item that's coming. I'm not sure what the shape of memory in the future is going to be because there's a new format right now. I just forgot the name of it. But it's actually, instead of it being a stick, it's kind of a like a chip, like a flat square chip with a whole bunch of little contact points like this here. And it lays flat on the motherboard instead of kicked up, like either at an angle or standing straight up.
So is that better for lack of problems, etc.?
Well, it makes like a laptop thinner, and that's what it was made for because Dell created it, and they're a big laptop developer. But storage overall, it tends to be bulkier, except for like flash, little micro SD cards, the little cards that are like the size of your fingernail. Those are really, really tiny, but they're very slow and they have reliability issues and they get really hot and stuff. But apparently it'll be a long time before you can buy an SSD of this PCIe 6.0 version at 26 gigabytes. Sorry. Big B is bytes, little b is bits.
But at the rate these things accelerate, maybe it won't be too long.
Yeah, maybe. Let's keep moving. The next article is over in Non-Sequitur News. You can dial in the power output on Anker's new desktop charger. I just bought two 27,000 milliamp hour battery packs. And right when we got back, this showed up on my doorstep. I don't actually, by doorstep, I mean awareness. And what I want is this, really. I want to be able to play around with this gadget. Anker announced several additions to its company's Prime line of chargers today, including a new desktop version that allows the power output of its 6 USB ports to be customized through a control dial. As a result, connected devices get exactly how much power as they need. The only problem that I have with this is if there are capacitors involved and you have sensitive electronics, if they don't have some type of line conditioning, you hear it. You hear it charging up and powering
like the
down.
Buzz.
Yeah, and that's actually the static that we hear. So the only time I actually hear it is when I have a high draw device in one of my hubs. And so this new $170 Anker Prime charger shares 250 watts of power across 4 USB-C ports and 2 USB-A ports. The first USB-C port can be can deliver up to 140 watts of power. So if you have a very powerful laptop, therein lies the problem. If you put an underserving USB-C wall wart in an outlet and you plug in a laptop, if it isn't meeting its minimum requirements, it will never power up. It'll draw a charge, but it'll never turn on. So that's why you have to step up to 65 watts. And well, when you can dial up to 140 watts, that solves your problem. So this is a completely different shaped device than anything that I've seen from Anker outside
It looks like an alarm clock.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting.
But it is. It's very different than their other products.
Yeah, the closest that I have that I would say that this looks like is like a conventional USB hub, but it has an LED screen on it, so that you can dial in the amount of power to go out to the various ports. And it actually shows you like 140 watts in C1, and there's 4 in the front. And then 2 USB-A on the side. Andrew Liszewski put this article together, and the deck statement says the 250 watt charger puts 6 USB ports in easy reach and allows users to customize power output through 4 selectable modes. So I don't know what all of those modes are just yet, but maybe they'll say in the description. So the first USB-C port can deliver up to 140 watts of power, while the other 3 max out at 100, and the 2 USB-As max out at 22.5. They actually deliver 22.5, so you ultimately end up with 250 watts of power, which is not bad. And they talk about default AI power mode. The power requirements of connected devices are detected and power distribution is adjusted automatically. That's that PD style port. It usually says what they are, that they're PD. But if you don't have a smart connected device, it will just draw whatever that device is pulling. So you want a smarter device. This actually facilitates that, because you don't want to put the wrong power supply into the wrong device, because you can destroy it. And that's actually happened to me once. The power supply that was given to me was wrong. And when I plugged it in, it smoked the device. So a 2.26 inch LCD screen shows the power draw of each USB-C port. And then they have other devices, slightly cheaper by only $5. Alternative is a new 8-in-1 Anker Prime charging station that has conventional plugs and USB-C and USB-A, 4 USB-C, 2 USB-A, and a pair of AC outlets that will save you from having to crawl under a desk to plug something in.
Well, that sounds like a win.
That's pretty amazing. So, I don't need these kind of outlets nowadays. Everything is switching over to USB-C, and so you just plug in a USB-C and it charges it. Tablets, USB-C. Laptops are moving to USB-C because it can handle the power. The 8-in-1 lacks the different charging modes, so you know that the managed charging ports cost $5.
Right. Exactly.
And it's a whole lot thinner. I mean, that other one is a whole lot thinner. So, I mean, it looks pretty cool. Okay, we got to keep moving. I guess
it depends on how you want to connect things, too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can't plug anything. You can't plug a conventional AC outlet into the other device. It's all USB-C. So I guess that's kind of cool. You actually end up with more charging ports. There's 6 USB-C, and then you get 2 AC power ports. But you plug in the wrong thing into those, and it'll suck all of the power out of that. And then you'll hear that buzz with any audible or audio electronics. because the capacitors charge and then discharge to keep the power going. And if I'm wrong about that, send me a message. There's the Discord, there's the messages, the comment section in YouTube. Come to the chat and hang out and talk to me about it. Anyway, let's move on. The next article is over in Technology Today. Get the Twinkly Squares starter kit for just $160. I was introduced to Twinkly probably 4 years ago, and I got the lights. They're actually behind my green screen. I have a practical set, I guess you could call it, behind me. It's not really a set. It's just sound deadening panels behind me from, I think it's from Gix. And,
but not the visualizer, because it's not visible right now.
The visualizer?
No, the set.
Oh, right, yeah. And so I have Twinkly gear behind me. But these little squares are pretty neat. You can actually make like an LED light board, but not a LED screen like a TV, or an LED monitor. In certain places, you can get these high resolution LED screens, panels behind you, or in front of you, but they cost like $60,000 for a size 8 foot by 10 foot panel. Jason Coles over at cnet.com put this article together. It says these are an excellent way to add a bit more color to any room, and that's basically what it is. You get a bunch of the little LED squares. They're independently controllable. You can actually put patterns on them. One of the six squares is the controller, but you can link a bunch of them together. And it's pretty cool, but small. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's small. I think this is like 6 by 6. Each one.
Yeah, I mean, that would be neat if you had enough of them to cover whatever area.
Yeah. So one of the best things about the kit is that it's both compatible with Alexa and Google Home, which I'm not sure. It's not compatible with iOS, with HomeKit, according to this. But I control it through HomeKit. So I'm not sure what might have changed in the system. I'd have to go and look at it. I think it's because I use another application as a proxy, but so they don't really go into much detail about these things, but it's basically, if you were to look at pixels on a screen, each one of these kind of is the embodiment of a pixel, except that it has the full color range, except white. It doesn't have pure white. It's just everything but white. So RGB, but not white. And I think that there's 8. It's an 8 by 8, and each one is like a quarter of an inch or something like that. I can't remember the actual size anymore.
Right, I don't know if it says.
Because I don't think it says it. Yeah, it doesn't really say. But they're pretty cool. And like I said, you can put them in a square, and then you can actually have pictures displayed on there, but they'll be like favicons, right? The little 16 by 16 icons that are represented in various places. It's hard to show, but whenever you go to a website and you see in the browser bar the little picture right there, that's kind of what these things end up looking like from a distance. So with a little bit of work, you can make it look pretty good. And they're animated and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, we got to keep moving. Sorry, folks. The coolest Hasbro Star Wars Marvels, sorry, let me start that over. The coolest Hasbro Star Wars, Marvel, and Transformer toys revealed at Comic-Con. It's a big list. It's over at Gizmodo. James Whitbrook put the article together, and it says Comic-Con always brings on a ton of cool toys from Hasbro. Here's a look at all of their Star Wars, Marvel, Transformers reveals from the show floor this year. And let me just tell you, this article is
has quite a few products.
Yeah. So they say there's quite a few, and I won't go through all of them, but I will point you to the article so you'll be able to go and check it all out. I knew this person was going to be in like toy form. So far, everything that this person did was just sniff the air and run off in a direction. Anyway, so Transformers are coming back. There's going to be another new movie coming out, if I recall correctly. And let me pull something up real quick.
For Transformers?
Yeah. There's another Transformers movie coming.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Transformers and G.I. Joe Autobot. And then Transformers and Knight Rider Autobot Agent Knight. So Knight Rider transforms now. It's interesting.
That's called Transformers 1, and it's coming out on September 14th.
Oh, boy. Oh, right. I think it's like the creation or something. It's the prequel to all of it. So you can't go further in the future anymore because you've done so much. It's too fantastical. So now you have to go back and start over. There's other things that are like that, too, that are coming. Studio Series War for Cybertron Voyager Autobot Ratchet. So these seem like smaller, like lower resolution versions of Transformers that I remember. But I don't know. And we don't get these. So this is kind of what this here is pretty cool looking. But this is all kind of rounded and soft edged and stuff like that. And so I know that it's for kids, but still, there's adults
you
of
want
all
it
ages.
To be sharp edges for adults.
Yeah, kids of all ages, I should say. And then Megatron. And then they switch over to Marvel and Deadpool and Wolverine Deadpool. Deadpool and Wolverine Deadpool. It's funny. Deadpool and Wolverine. So they just go through all of this. Oh no. Headpool and Logan. It's Deadpool's head.
Wow.
So I haven't watched the movie Deadpool and Wolverine. So I don't know if his head gets removed and if it's like everything else, he grows back slowly.
I know something about Headpool. Do you know who voices it?
No. Do you want to spoil it?
The actor from Firefly and Castle.
Oh, really? Philliam H. Muffman?
Correct. I forgot the actor's name.
I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm not even going to bother.
I saw something else about that in ohmTown, actually.
And then there's Acolyte and Ahsoka and Andor and all of that. All of those series are coming back. So next seasons. Okay, we need to keep moving. Sorry, folks. The next article is over in Reality Hacker. The best gaming projectors. Buying a gaming TV can be expensive and take up a ton of space. Instead, you could invest in one of these awesome gaming projectors to play a game anywhere. Yeah, you can just grab it, bolt it onto your friend's ceiling and short throw it down onto some random wall. Oh, you got to get a projector as well. I mean, a projector screen as well. It makes it real easy to just game anywhere. So as powerful as your gaming console or PC might be, and as highly detailed as the games you're playing on it look, none of that matters if you don't have a display that can properly show it off. But they're not listing the prices here, I don't think. But these cost like $4,000. Let me see. Maybe they'll actually have it lower on, but they talk about the Epson Home Cinema LS 11,000, the BenQ, and I believe it's BenQ. It's not Ben. But every time I've heard it, different people have said it's slightly different. BenQ or Bank, but I think it's BenQ. X1300i and the XG-IMI Horizon Ultra 4K projector. So maybe they'll talk about it.
By the way, the LS 11,000 is $3,999.99.
Yeah.
So very close to your statement.
Yeah, they're pretty pricey. That's the 11,000, but that's what it looks like, and you do get a spectacular color out of it. Great resolution. Lifetime is pretty good. It's got a 4K image, 120 hertz refresh rate, 2500 lumens, so you don't have to be in a completely dark room to use it. But then the BenQ, 120 hertz refresh rate. It says long lamp life. Says it only has 1080p output. So yeah, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna swing the bat that hard, then you might as well get a 4K. Save up and get a 4K. This is a $2,000 projector, but who knows about its life? It says Dolby Vision HDR support, smart auto picture adjustments, great darkroom brightness. Do they say? Wait a minute. Yeah, so the you may not care unless you're a competitive gamer. 60 hertz doesn't really matter versus 120 hertz, but it is twice the refresh rate. So you see twice. You have the potential to see twice as much detail because refresh rate is like a flip book. It redraws the screen that many times per second, and so you basically have to, if you get more opportunity to see motion or whatever, some change, and we are keyed into vision, so we are we can be trained to be acutely aware of the world around us. So if you get more bites at that apple, then obviously you can be more competitive. So the Optima UHD38X Bright, it's a 4K gaming projector, 240 hertz refresh rate, and Ultra HD. I don't even know what the price is there, but they've got more on this list. When we were back up at the top, there were two more items that were below the fold. And if you want a little mini projector, then you have that as well.
Yeah, that might be more price conscious too.
The price conscious person. They don't have the prices on this, which is kind of
it's a little surprising.
Yeah. But if you're really into this, then you're going to be spending $4,000 easy for a projector. Okay, let's keep moving. The next article is over in Reality Hacker. I should just start doing that as like standard thing. Moving on. So Virtuix says its Omni One home VR treadmill system will finally launch in September. I've been watching this for a while. It says Omni One was announced almost 4 years ago as launching in late 2021, but that didn't happen. It reminds me of my Kickstarter for the iGulu. How long was that? I forgot. Was that 6 or 8
years ago?
Yeah. And I have one. I just got it 2 weeks ago, and it's already brewing something, which is actually, depending on how this plays out, it may be the heart of our newest show. But we'll talk about that in 2 weeks. So the Virtuix Omni One, a long in development integrated home VR treadmill, and I'm a VR gamer. I use the Pico VR headset, Pico 4, as a matter of fact. And I've got a bunch of games, and I'd love to stream them and play, but I'm just too jam-packed with other mayoral duties, including this show and the 6 others. But I want this. If I were to get this, I would be like overjoyed. I would become overcome with sweat by using this. But
if they want to sponsor the show, that would be.
Oh wow! Oh, I didn't even read down that far. The VR headset was originally going to be a Pico Neo 2, but given the Omni One's significant delay, it will now be Pico 4 Enterprise, or a high-end variant of the Pico 4. Wow, that's interesting.
Uh-huh.
Wow, look at that. All good things come to those who wait, right? So David Henney over at uploadvr.com put this article together. So the only problem that I have with this thing is that you need special shoes and you're in this kind of a thing. I want an omnidirectional treadmill, or I want the thing from Disney, but that'll never happen. That little,
yeah.
what do they call it? Something tile? Holotile?
Holotile, yeah.
Yeah. So the Omni one was announced almost 4 years ago. It says, unlike earlier treadmill offerings, Omni One is unique that it's fully integrated, meaning that it comes with a VR headset running a store of content that is with support for the treadmill intentionally integrated by developers. And that's where I like the snippet over on ohmTown includes this little paragraph right here that's provided by Upload VR to us. So to be clear, the Pico 4 Enterprise won't be running Pico's platform and store. Instead, it has Virtuix's own Omni store where VR developers have intentionally integrated support for the treadmill using its SDK, which kind of sucks because then you're locked into the Pico 4 Enterprise. The cost has to be much, much more.
True, and then you can't either have to buy games twice, or you can't play the games you might want to play from your other stores.
Yeah, I mean, they really do need to make it so that it works. It's just so I'm going to have to look into this because if this is reasonably priced, it's at $2,600, but it's not coming out until later this year. Virtuix claims the deposit is fully refundable and you'll be sent a link to pay the remaining $2,400 when you put your $200 deposit down on a $2,600 device when it's close to shipping. But yeah, you get these little overshoes that you put on your shoes. You have foot trackers, and you'll end up scuffing this thing up over time, I'm sure. You know, everything with a little bit of friction. And you can't, there's always friction in anything that's making contact. And so basically it's a satellite dish and you run in it, and those trackers pin you inside this little sphere, and in the VR world, as you run, your feet just kind of slip and slip and slip. It's pretty wild.
I mean, it seems really cool.
Yeah.
I think it goes in all directions.
Yeah, the post that is on the back of the disc, if you're looking at the screen, we'll try to describe it for those who listen to the podcast. But if you are attached to this gadget, you wear a vest, and the vest is articulated on the post. That post swivels as you swivel. So you'll have to work out the physics and get used to having the ability to turn that thing around in a half arc or a full circle. And that turns you around in the game or the world that you're playing in. And so you can jump, you can run, you can stop, you can back up. It's basically supposed to be everything. And the only way you can avoid this type of contraption is to make it omnidirectional treadmill. And those are much bigger, much bulkier, much more expensive. If this comes out at $2,400 or $2,600, let me look again. Yeah, it's $2,600. Yeah, omnidirectional treadmills are going to be astronomically expensive when they hit the floor.
They will until we start seeing more competition.
Yep. Okay, let's keep going. We've got 2 more articles, including this one, the best dice rolling board games in 2024. I really like dice games, and I really like card games, and I want them to be, like, I don't want a big mishmash of both. And so when I saw this article roll through, I said, oh yeah, I got to take a look at this. So the best dice rolling board games in 2024. Dice rolls are some of the best sources of drama in board games. They focus risk and tension into a single moment that acts as the culmination of strategic decision, the kinetic force of tossing hunks of plastic or wood and watching them, or stone, by the way, or metal. I don't know why they limited it to this, but I've had, like precious metal. I've had exotic stones. I've had plastic. I actually have right there about 1,000 dice sitting at my feet right now, and wood Wood is the oldest, I think, that have been recovered from archaeological digs, along with bone. And watching them tumble across the table is delightful. Ultimately, it's wonderful to have a pleasing physical action peppered throughout an otherwise mental exercise. That's one of the things that I've always loved about role-playing games, D&D. It's a lot of fun. But I don't know. I'm actually looking at a completely different role-playing game from Pathfinder or D&D 5e, or its predecessors. There's a not really, I don't know if it's a new one. Oh goodness, will I be able to pull it up in time? I want to do this live, so hold on a second. Doing it live, folks. I'm doing it live. Do. 1 second. No, I won't be able to pull it up. Yeah, there's a role-playing game that got a bunch of awards just recently. We got 4, including best game, or game of the year, I should say. But it's a role-playing game, so if you're looking it up, look for that.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
Gotcha. So the too long didn't read of this entire article is that right there. They have a list: Castles of Burgundy, Troyes, I think it's called Troyes. The White Castle, Ready Set Bet, Llama Dice, Bang, the Dice Game, Dice Forge, Rolling Thunder Vendetta, Dice Throne, Grand Austria Hotel, which is drawing me in because of the Grand Budapest Hotel movie.
Which is highly recommended.
Yeah, really. 1 second. Sorry, folks. Our production values are kind of low. Do. Yeah, I won't be able to find it. I tried again real quick, but anyway.
I'm trying to find it, but I'm not coming up with it.
Yeah, there's some convention where it got 4 awards, including best role-playing game, because of its simplicity and it's like crushing D&D. Anyway, Castles of Burgundy, it says here, it's got a 12 plus age range, 30 to 90 minutes, which sounds great. Each player gets a pair of dice to roll each turn in the game of competitive castle building. The results limit your choice of actions for the turn as you seek to gain tiles representing estate features like livestock and buildings. This actually seems like it would be really fun, so we'll put that on the list. Troyes is a shining example of the dice as resources concept. You place workers into 3 different areas of the board and they generate dice, which you roll and then assign to projects to win points in the medieval French city of Troyes. Then there's the White Castle. The Troyes has a 90-minute playtime for 1 to 4 players, and White Castle has 80-minute playtime for 1 to 4 players. The age range remains the same, like 12 plus or so. Usually they want to avoid children and dice because it's an easy choke hazard. And so you want to avoid it entirely because there's all kinds of regulation that you have to, believe me, I've developed toys and games that when you do the research into this, you find out that you have to jump through some flaming freaking hoops. And unless you're really, it's a passion project and you're willing to risk it, you don't even bother. So in this dice game, and this is the White Castle, players are competing to become the most influential clan in a Japanese castle. Ready, set, bet. Something undeniably thrilling about watching a group of horses blast down a track at full speed. I remember I went with a company, I'll just say a company, to a racetrack with someone that I had just met. And well, actually, no, it had been a while. So, and I had made a comment, and the people that I have to be cagey about it because I can dox them with a name. And so I said a name, and because of who they were like, "Oh, them?" And I'm like, "You know them?" And they're like, "No." But they tried to like bait me into like not making a comment, but coming across like well, everybody is the same kind of a thing, and I was just flabbergasted by their behavior. But this was at a racetrack, and I really got into the racetrack, like the horse races. Since then, though, I've completely lost interest in horse racing, so this game wouldn't really appeal to me unless everybody else was into it. So one player effectively works as a moderator and announcer. They roll 2 dice, which correspond to 9 horses positioned on a small cardboard track, and the horse rolled is moved forward on the track, edging towards the finish line. The twist here is that the announcer keeps rolling over and over as fast as they can. So you have to move your horse, I guess, down the track. That sounds like fun. That actually sounds like fun.
Good.
And the person the announcer keeps rolling, and you have to move according to the dice roll. So it says the game is a flurry of chaos, which actually would be pretty fun. But the games run 45 to 60 minutes of that. 2 to 9 players. Then there's llama dice. Let's see. Push your luck game that combines card play with dice rolling in a light-hearted fling. 20 minutes per game, 2 to 6 players, ages 8+. Seems pretty chill. I'm sorry for the cough. So the goal is for the 3 dice you toss to match number cards splayed in front of you. This allows you to ditch the cards and avoid collecting points. The tension here is that whether you want to keep going and risk not rolling a result that matches one of your cards, in this case you have to grab a new one from the central row, worsening your position. So this seems like fun too. Llama dice.
Yeah, always do.
Easy peasy. Then there's Bang. I won't be able to go through all of these, but one that I do want to show you, it isn't Dice Forge, but that actually looks a lot like Dice Throne. That color,
yes,
that styling of box. The face of the dice change throughout a game of Dice Forge, where you can make offerings to the gods to earn their favor and add bigger numbers to your dice, giving you a better chance at rolling the result you need to succeed. New dice faces can reward different types of resources, even if applied to your opponent's dice, so that you can get a reward based on what they roll. That actually looks like fun too. Sounds like fun. But it's all dice, so that I'm really interested in that. Thunder Road Vendetta, Dice Throne. This one is Marvel Dice Throne, but there are, I think, 5 others.
There's other variations, right?
And then there's Dice Throne Adventures, which riffs off of the Dice Throne pool of characters and is kind of like an RPG long term. And I say long term for sure. So it says described as Magic the Gathering meets Yahtzee. Dice Throne lets players face off as unique heroes with their own offensive, defensive, and passive abilities, including an unstoppable ultimate attack. You can mitigate it, but you can't stop it. So you'll draw and spend cards to upgrade your character. This actually is a really fun game. And you don't have, if you're not into Marvel, then you can get there's I think 3 other versions of it that aren't Marvel. And then Grand Austria Hotel. That one's 90 minutes. It says there's a lot to keep track of when managing a hotel in 20th century Vienna. Each face of a die indicates a different action you can take, from preparing rooms for potential guests to bringing wine or coffee, pardon me.
That's it's interesting. Like, it's like one of those kind of sim type games, but in a dice game.
Yeah, it says that efficiency is important, but you also have to pay attention to the individual desires of the potential guests. So yeah, it's kind of a Sims thing, hotel management, but in board form instead of computer form. Pretty cool. King of Monster Island, Pandemic, The Cure, and Sagrada. And Too Many Bones. You play as a group of adventurers trying to take down a dangerous tyrant in this highly replayable collaborative game. You'll navigate the battle map, facing encounters where you'll get to choose your approach to the situation and then try to beat the challenge to win training points or loot to improve your character. So it's like a role-playing game on top of it. Yeah. Pretty cool. I dig this. It says the core game has 4 characters and 7 tyrants, offering plenty of opportunity to experiment, but you can also get even more options by picking up the Undertow expansion. So expansions already on top of this. Too many bones. Pretty cool. Too many options. Okay. Our last article is over in Reality Hacker. What is Bluetooth multipoint and why your next earbuds or headphones should have it. It says it isn't widely available audio feature, but it's definitely a convenient one where everything you need to know about the technology is on this link. So Michael Bizzacco put this article together over at digitaltrends.com, and definitely follow the link and go over there and check it out. I won't be able to go through like all of it, but
so do you want Bluetooth multipoint?
Yes, I want all of this stuff. I mean, the name of the show is one of the things, like, I don't want to get sidetracked, sorry, but like I want a gaming projector, but man, $4,000.
Yeah, they're pretty pricey.
And the problem isn't that it's just pricey. The problem with me is that the technology evolves, and I don't want 2 years later to go, now I want this, because then I have to either sell this or use it, repurpose it somewhere else, and then spend again $4,000, because it's always that, you know, it's never, oh, it's gotten cheaper. It's $4,000 again. Anyway, introduced in 2010 with the rollout of Bluetooth 4.0, Bluetooth multipoint was a game changer for those using Bluetooth headsets in the workplace. It allowed for a second phone line's unanswered calls to be instantly placed on hold. And this was only the beginning of Bluetooth multipoint's capabilities and its compatibility with various devices. So it says, wouldn't it be great to quickly and easily switch audio sources with your Bluetooth headphones without manually disconnecting and pairing them to one device at a time? And so my headphones are multi-point. I can actually connect to multiple devices and I can flip from one to the other. And it makes it pretty easy peasy to be attached to my phone and my tablet or a computer. It really depends on the device. You can have multiple multi-point. So it says, traditionally a simple wireless network known as PicoNet is the digital thread that links a single set of Bluetooth headphones to a Bluetooth ready source, be it a phone, tablet, computer, etc., etc. So they call all the shots in the PicoNet, dictating the volume at which your phone plays music when a voice assistant is called upon, etc. So device B in this PicoNet has only one job: to listen for and follow device A commands. So far, so good. So if you have true wireless headsets, like in your buds, right? So these are wired. You have one that's the main connector, and then you have the other one that just goes, okay, I'm waiting for your connection. So normally a Bluetooth PicoNet connects only 2 devices, but when device A supports multi-point connectivity, you can link up to 2 or more device B sources, allowing you to maintain a connection with 2 peripherals, phone, tablet, etc., simultaneously and seamlessly switch between them. So if your phone calls, you can just tap your in-ear monitors or your headphones and it'll flip over to your phone.
I mean, that seems like that'd be really handy, particularly with people using multiple devices, like the VPN earlier.
Yeah. Pretty cool. And I suppose in the future, see, I like this kind of technology because then I can flip over to like an AI and I can interact with the AI via voice commands, and it's compartmentalized instead of hearing everything all the time. Like right now, if you walk around the mayoral mansion and say the wrong phrase, the whole place lights up like a Christmas tree. So triple connectivity is less common, which, as the name implies, allows up to 3 audio sources to be linked to a single set of headphones or wireless earbuds. The Technique's EAH-AZ80 is an excellent example of a triple multipoint. The third type, Advanced, has been around a bit longer than simple multipoint, but is very similar, most commonly associated with call centers. Advanced multipoint adds one additional feature: the ability for the headset to answer 2 calls at once and then have one of them placed on hold, allowing you to easily switch between them which is kind of scary because you don't necessarily know which one that you're actually talking to. You say something like, "Oh God, that person's on the other line." Oh wait, sorry.
Well, that's exactly the thing where things like call switching and everything. I mean, you could be, yeah, that could be a problem.
Yep. Interesting. So Apple AirPods Pro, for example, Apple's automatic audio switching lets you seamlessly switch between devices like iPhone, iPod, Mac. If you're a Samsung Galaxy Buds owner, Samsung's Galaxy Auto switching via the Wearables app will remember your paired devices and automatically switch. Anchor actually has an app that facilitates that as well. So if you have multiple devices, you can use that as well. So pretty interesting. So what is it good for? Connecting to multiple devices. There. Oh, here's one of those Sony headsets where we were giggling because the name branding was supposed to switch, but it still sucks.
Oh, yes.
The Sony WH-1000XM5 headphones.
Say that 5 times fast. And remember it when you're trying to order them, like over the phone or something.
So
or even typing it in.
If you want to do a deeper dive into Bluetooth multipoint and why your next earbuds or headphones should have it, go over to follow the link. It's the last link in our show notes. It'll take you over to digital trends via ohmTown.com. Just click the visit the source link and it'll take you there. So I'm going to switch sources and end us up back at the Wanted channel, which is in our gadgets and technology main menu, and down at the bottom is Wanted. Who knows? We might. Oh, look, we got some more news to talk about. All kinds of stuff gets put into Wanted, and then we talk about it. I want a lot of stuff, but I only talk about 10 of them each week. So go over and find some new stuff to talk about. All right, folks. I am Mayor Watt, and that is the Sentient AI from the future, and this has been Wanted for August 10th, 2024.
Thanks for joining us for Wanted. We'll have another episode of Wanted next weekend, but stay tuned. We have more shows ahead.
Cheerio. Off to another multi-point point. I guess that's the point.